What is more, what a bore it must have been. Muse a couple of decades and counting to the like of me, if, that is, you ever noticed. I was walking a very similar part of the coastline, just a few estuaries down to my right, where there's still a lot of armaments testing and quality control going on. It's got new shoots up on Whirley Point above the old school of gunnery. All along this cliff face, a maquis of gorse. Its thorny off yellow makes me think of mustard, hazard, and fake haddock. Not smoked, you just know, but dyed. Do note the very newest shoots seem to have taken a petal out of the children's book where they press their own illustrations for parents, forever, forever. For now, the tip of the ginster braves a mellower yellow to match the aura in the heart of the primrose. Poppy yellow. On the village square, there's a place I sit. I can take the weight off my worn-out feet until a bus comes. This bench is finished the colour of school buses and taxis in certain places, but it is here first choice tone of one youth who's taken herself where she chose to go. At anniversaries, school soulmate braves mark her memorial throne vibrantly, that tone of a nation's flower. Colour of butter, danger, poppy, not poppy bled of all blood sap. No, there's a local strain of the poppy where I am sitting. This is, I heard an orchestral player talking about rehearsing Mahler's ninth Mahler 9, as we're supposed to call it, symphony, and his attitude to the music and rehearsing the orchestra. For our master tape takes, he takes us into the studio first after dark. This music, never to be played in daylight. What's more, of course, Maestro gets us to get the finale down first, giving us an idea of sound world's own ether we will in due course have been heading towards all along. It softly blots out the floodlit tunnel vision of our earlier, more earthy passages, mere earth-based trips and blips. My brother does some stand-up comedy. Started at a late age, like I started my drumming at a very late age. And he has a routine, as they call them, that he'd never seen anybody slip on a banana skin. Brings the house down. But I heard something, so I wrote this for him. Cataract. Did you hear the one about the man so nearly a legend, whose name I fail to retain? He never made it into the good Guinness Book of such achievements, as he was but only the second person to free fall the most famous of all falls, and in the traditional wood-staved barrel. I say was, 'cause after his hospitalization, lasted a full year, following plummet over cataract, long of Queen Victoria and Livingston fame, walking again and out of the sanatorium, he only goes and slips on a proverbial proper nana skin to crack his head so bad. This is what kills him. And in inverted commas, me. Oh, we're nearly. Oh, we've just driven 200 yards in Dom's car to get to this magical garden. And the traffic on the roads changes radically when the tourist season starts, of course. Conflict of rustic interests. All this month of May, sun-stroked precipitation, so much so the road blinkering hedgerows are going wild. So much so, the hazard sign to a blind driveway known only to locals that starts out, that is, butts into our thoroughfare, is itself, quote, concealed until the hedge sparrows fledge and the verge flowers' heads blow and accident-prone bank holiday caravans go, just as council is calling in the detachment of heavy flailers of hedges, their technique and precision, that of the wrecking ball. Two about drinking in a pub next to the betting shop, surrounded by, not going to read those, but, unseasonal. Early June hailstones strike pitched greenhouse glass. Pricked out repotted geraniums blanch. Mother on her streetwise children. Ukraine, June 2022. When they hear incoming heavy ordnance sounds over loud, that is, far, far too near, they do come back indoors to huddle in the corridor. But when any rumblings appear more remote, they will simply stay out, play some extra time, making of all that live, ambient white noise one winning hysteria of a home crowd. I travel by bus a lot. I've got a prop here somewhere. Be with you in a minute. Can't count. Sorry. So this is not about the bus. This is about me trying to play the drums with a vastly more experienced bass player. Just the way they set up on stage is a lesson in coolness and efficiency. Ructions in the rhythm section. Still setting up, and Brian is asking me, is the kit staying there or moving to be a bit more central? I like to hide in amongst my rhythm sections. Oh, okay. It's unusual, that's all. First number, and over his left shoulder, replacement bassist Brian's mouthing something at me. Most understated drummer he has ever had to share a stage with. He all the while driving the gig along so far single-handedly. I'll abbreviate: H, TH, F, TH. Okay? i.e. hit the fucking things. At the break, Brian elaborates, gesticulates, signing as if I've already deafened myself. This baby kick drum here needs to be that big, as he describes an arc, the circumference of the wheel off the Hey Wayne. Second set, and I do obey, begin to follow, hitting out with blunt ends of both sticks and including the hi-hat that migrates all but out of reach, its pedal dislocated across the bandstand. And this is how and where the novice got his 3-day tendonitis attack in the left funny bone area. Tendonitis is so reassuringly more percussive than Wimbledon elbow. I'm told extreme sport ice packs shall see me match fit for the Jubilee gig. Oh, I am on the buses now. Running out of time, I expect. But we'll edit later. This is a lesson to myself about being careful what you write about and don't pretend to get engaged and responsible if you don't know what you're talking about or don't know enough about it. It's a very, well, not simple. Not to the driver of this bus, it's not simple. I was just amused. Oh, this is where the prop comes in. This is a temple bell. But it seems to be exactly the same pitch as the bus that got the bus bell. The travelling bell, as I call it. But a digital bell, very monotonous, and it was stuck. I didn't know why. Drive, we call the drivers here, everyone has a nickname, like baker is the bread. And the driver, you say, thanks, drive. No driver, drive. I love it. So drive explains an ongoing tinkling. It's all very well you, a passenger, entitled to make light of it, fun of it, getting your creative piece out of it. Its titles say, the zaniness of an onboard bell, In fact, it was the system warning, telling me to switch the engine off. Something untoward, something up under the bonnet. I've been telling the depot for months. It is finally to be looked into. And indeed, next day, the ride all the way to town, uncannily quiet. You must be relieved. I sympathize with Drive. Yeah. But this morning, I woke up with a quite other phantom tinkling still in my left ear. Tinnitus. And it might be for life. Oh, more. Tales from the 198. To remind you of the bell. You have to imagine it much more repetitive than that. Every second on the second sort of thing. But when you do it as a passenger, to get on or off, it sounds more like that. Like musical, really. Or Tales from the 198. On occasion, the travelling bell will ring out just the once. A single ping, as the otherwise empty 198 motors on through some spot in the middle of rural nowhere. But no, I sense nothing random in this behaviour. More an in memoriam nod on the part of the onboard electrics circuitry to a recently departed pass holder, like me, frequent rider on this run. Note how the minimalist ping pings precisely as we're approaching the customary place he would stand curbside, that clear hand signal to drive, to stop, for him to board. Or has his ghost been aboard, along our home leg and risen now from the priority seat beside mine? Was it thumb, index finger of no inspector, rather this gentleman's spectre, triggering his request to be set down? I don't know what made me think. Oh, I know what it was, yes. Oh, there's a very happy one to end on. About a musician I'm back in contact with after COVID, and mixed news really, but he's not giving up. So this was a short version of a slightly longer poem. Realistic? Give up, you may say, in a sense. In another, absolutely not. Internal Combustion Engine Manifesto, coincidentally in 13 lines. I says garage. You prefer garage. So what? Both my wheels and your motor are off-road, in the air, under repair, care of the pit's hydraulics. Id est fucked, to be frank. And this is for dear Big Bear, who I haven't played with again in these 2 years, but we hopefully will. Which is the subtitle, yeah. Sustainable yield. I love that when you come across something in the course of writing a poem and it gets into the poem because it seems to be just right. I'd never really heard the term. So this is really addressed to him. He hasn't seen it. I haven't asked him if I can read it either. He's no dancer, yet his chariot can't half shift. Festooned in fairy lights all the way from Advent to the oncoming brand new year in, year out. The mother of all strummers, pickers, pluckers, he plays, sings under the stage name Big Bear. Mic'd up via wireless headgear gizmo so no thing snags the spotlit spokes of that fully charged throne. Au fait with high-tech electrics et al., he is mouthpiece for the compromised mobility movement. Or worse, obstructed, booby-trapped. Sadly, his voice, good these days for short sets only. He talks of selling off, selling on the collection of collectible guitars. The wardrobe holds more six strings than pairs of one-legged trousers. There's a vintage heart-shaped one. Its provenance goes back to the Rolling Stones, though seized joints no longer nimbly finger the fretwork the length of those elegant necks, nor fine-tune their machine heads. Changing the subject, he's showing me round his garden on a handheld screen out of his pocket at the old oak. Roses, old varieties going so beautifully and riotously bonkers, till music turns back into our chat. Well, perhaps not all the guitars. I can still do bar chords, that's not beyond me. I'll hang on to the Gretsch, the flatbed Hawaiian slide type. The mood lifting so soon. I'm thinking of going fully digital, fingertip keyboards, programmed samples. He's trying on his composer's hat. That's grand. That's my boy, top man. That's the spirit of Big Bear on the mountain. If you're after a beat, a roll, rhythmical riff, infill, smash on the crash, ride, cymbal, snap of hi-hat, for example, to lay down a sample, to quarry as raw material, give me a bell, count me in. Though I do know I am an anachronistic man on an analog kit. Have you heard of the concept in lumberland of sustainable yield forestry? Well, it is like this. Stuff gets felled naturally, but seeds are correspondingly sown and not always the same strains. Likewise, music has many a branch, the music maker's mansion, many a loft conversion, and garret, studio, with suites and suites of practice and rehearsal rooms.